Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. And now your host, me, Shane Lakita. Hey folks, here we are again. We're together on a podcast. Can you hear that jazzy music? Can you hear it? It's fading out, but it's my jazzy music and I'm feeling like it. To give you a little bit of insight towards the intro music that I have going on my podcast now, it reminds me a lot of my dad. And if any of you know, maybe about 20 podcasts ago or so, or a little while back, you guys had known that I'd gone down to Virginia to visit my family, where my father, who suffers from Alzheimer's, and he was a piano player in his lifetime. He played in the Navy band. He played in the Navy Musicians Association. He did all kinds of great stuff, played accordion, did a lot of really, really great things with music, and could play piano like nobody's business, was just amazing at what he did. And so he listened to a lot of jazz music. So it reminds me a lot when I was a kid. I used to grow up and used to put my father used to have people over the house. They'd play poker and they'd all have their little cigar and smoke eaters around the table, but they would sit around and they would play some cards or, whatever they were doing. And he would put the reel-to-reel jazz music where we'd have some Count Basie in there or some Spyro Gyra or some sort of jazz music going on. So it's an ode to some of the music that I grew up on when I was listening with my dad. Because, you could easily hear all the top 40 hits or rock and roll music or hip-hop and all the other stuff that I listened to. But the stuff that reminded me of good times and being able to have great memories was through this type of music. So if you hear it on the intro for the next, I don't know how many episodes, but as you're listening to it, know that that's an ode to my father because he listened to lots of jazz and lots of really, really good music that just made you feel good. That was no political positioning whatsoever with the music. There was no message. There was no anything. It was just good music. It was just people getting together to jam out like I used to watch him do all the time in the Navy band and his own personal band. So ode to my dad, Robert, and his struggle that he's going through right now, although it's more of a struggle for us than it is for him. If anybody who knows about Alzheimer's knows that that's the real tough part is that he's not really understanding the direction that it's going in, but we all do. And it hurts us probably a whole lot more than it does for him when he's pretty oblivious to the situation that's going on. So that's besides the fact, okay? So I just wanted to share that with you guys to know where the music came from in the beginning of the intro and the outro of this podcast here and the podcast that you've heard in the last couple that I changed up the intro at the new year. So tonight's episode is going to be another piggyback one, another one of those. We're going to keep the theme going where we are all talking about achieving greatness. New Year comes around, we're talking about goals, we're talking about aspirations, we're talking about all these things, right? And each one of these, I can almost put a little series together, about 4 of them since episode 134 up until this one, where I'm really talking about people that have inspired me in their journeys, whether it comes to business-related inspiration or whether it's overcoming adversity for physical strength or ailments or illnesses or unfortunate situations, whatever it is. I'm sharing some stories with some folks because I feel like it could inspire you like it does to me. I've got a list of a bunch of people that I look to be able to read the story of and be able to dive into, to be able to understand the human sacrifices some people go through to be able to get to great things, or the human psyche aspect of it where you have to overcome adversity in your brain or the people around you or whatever it is to be able to accomplish great things. Some of the stories of these folks that have achieved such a monumental great things have gone through so much to get there, and they're all inspirational in their own right. And we are all inspirational in our own right because we all also have huge stories. We have huge obstacles to overcome a lot of times. I know I do. If you think about it, I just opened it up with the fact that my father has Alzheimer's. And here I am, a 45-year-old man, sitting there living my life, talking into a microphone, trying to be healthy, trying to be a good dad, a good son, always having in the back of my mind, will that be me? Right? Will that be something that I'm going to have to overcome or be able to navigate through when that time comes, even though we have no history of Alzheimer's in our family? They're obstacles. It's an obstacle that gets in our way, that thinks to ourselves, what does that look like for us? So why not live life to the fullest now? Here I am trying to live life to the fullest and do everything that I've ever wanted to do, because you just never know. You just never know. And the way I look at it is, if you can overcome those obstacles, and you can overcome those mental monkeys that go on in our brains, we can overcome anything. And that's where 3/4 of the drama happen. So I'll tell you another story real quick before I get into the content of the podcast. It's interesting. Today, I went to the doctor's, and I posted a video about it on No Finish Line Nation today. And it was all about my doctor's visit. And I sat down with my doc, and we were going through everything. And she's an amazing, amazing doctor. And she's relatable, and she's funny. And we were talking about, my journey. And she knows that I was losing weight and trying to be able to go down this avenue of where I was at. And so I've had successes and struggles, and I gained a little bit of weight since my last checkup. And we were going through all my vitals and all of my numbers and blood pressures and everything else. And it was pretty amazing to understand the concept of, although I've gained some weight, as many of you know, as I've talked about it, from my lowest point to where I am now, although I've lost a large amount since my beginning stages, my blood pressure was perfect. All of my numbers were good. My thyroid's under control. And everything gave a big thumbs up and a Yahoo Cocoa Puffs when she pretty much said, great job. What a great feeling that was. So I wanted to share that with you guys, because overcoming adversity comes in many different forms or fashions. And when you overcome adversity, when you have a doctor look at you and say, I'm sorry, you have high blood pressure, and we're going to put you on medication. I'm sorry that you're obese, so we're going to categorize you with that. Or I'm sorry that you don't have long to live because you continue to be overweight, or you continue to live unhealthily, or you don't exercise enough, or you don't do those things. And you go to doctor's visits and you feel that dread of going to the doctor's visits, which scares a lot of people away. So this morning, to hear those words after I'm kind of feeling a little bit of a struggle here and there, I'm like, I'm on track and I'm good to go since the new year, but I'm still not where I want to be, and I'm still further from what I was just a year ago. So for me, it felt really good to be able to hear those words, knowing that my hard work and dedication pays off in one form or fashion or another. And it's not just about the number on the scale, but rather numbers in different directions, or those non-scale victories that happen that your doctor can then look at you and say, you're doing a great job. So no, all those folks that are trying to be able to work at it, trying to fight, trying to be able to dig in, trying to be able to be healthy, just put one foot in front of the other and just keep fighting. Keep fighting for you. Even if you don't feel like you're getting anywhere with it, every step that you take in that direction is nothing but a good step in the right direction. All right, so tonight's episode is all about, again, to be able to champion that whole theme that we've been doing for the last few episodes of the podcast. This one's about taking chances and taking risks to be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Okay, so here's what I did the other night. I wrote about it the other day, but here's what I did. I went to, it was almost like a networking meeting, and we sat down, met up with some other podcasters around the Maine area. So this place called, this gentleman named Tanner, he runs a podcast. If you ever get a chance to pop over to listen to it, it's called Portland Speaks, the podcast. That's what it's called. And what they do is they basically interview people from the Portland, Maine area and all around the Maine area that have done good things and done great things. And he just interviews them and he tells their life story, and it's a really kind of cool vibe to it and everything else. And so he started a community down here in Portland, and he calls it the League of Maine Podcasters. And it's on Instagram if you guys get a chance to check it out. But it's at League of Maine Podcasters. And so basically what we did was we had a networking event the other night that basically he opened up this little co-op space and right outside of his podcasting studio that he has down there. And we basically had about maybe 10 to 15 people all come out from all over the state. Some from as far as a couple hours away, drove all the way down. We had a potluck, food, had a couple beers. We sat down and we talked, and we had good conversations, good dialogue, and great conversations with all these different people that are all sitting here trying to be able to do their podcasts. So as you know, this is my podcast. So I'm talking about my podcast, and I'm talking about where I'm at, what my elevator speech for my podcast is around. Here I am. I'm trying to be able to make impacts on people and change people's lives through my journey and through my story, and be able to just bring a level of positivity and can-do attitude about different stuff. And, I was sitting there talking to people about this, and I was so overwhelmed with the fact that these people really wanted to hear what I had to say. And so I was asking questions too. Tell me about your podcast. Tell me about what you're doing. And there was one common theme of all these podcasters, some with 10 subscribers with, loads, some with hundreds of thousands of downloads that are successful in the podcasting world. All those things. We had such a wide range of people that were there. And there was one common theme of all of it. And I'll tell you about a couple of them. One of the common themes that you heard from almost every single person that was there is you have to be consistent. You have to stay consistent with your vision, stay consistent with what you're trying to do. If you're putting out content, you need to stay consistent and keep working, keep grinding, keep pushing things out, making sure that you're getting content out to people. Even if you think nobody's listening, somebody's listening. And this was a common theme throughout the whole entire networking event that we were doing. And it was great because I was listening to this going, you're right. That's one of the reasons why sometimes even if it's hard to get content out, especially if you're talking about the mind games and things you're trying to be able to overcome, and sometimes you don't really feel like putting any content out, but you know you need to because you believe in what you're doing and you want to fight for what you're doing. So consistency is a really big piece. Another theme that I heard with all these people was don't ever give up. Even if you feel frustrated and you feel like giving up at times because you're not getting the downloads or you're not getting people listening as much or you're not getting any comments or any kind of feedback or anything like that, but you're putting content out there, you know people are listening, with whatever group of people that you have that are listening, but you need to make sure that you keep pushing forward and keep on putting out content for yourself. So there's common themes throughout the whole entire thing, and believing in yourself on something that basically people don't really have that great of an opinion sometimes of firing up your own podcast to be able to put on the air for people to listen to. People go, all right, that's great. So what's your podcast about? So at the end of the day, it's about believing in yourself. It's about staying consistent and grinding and putting in the work, and then continuing to push forward in this space, especially in the space if you are passionate and you are driven and you're motivated and you are inspired to be able to do so. Don't stop. No matter what anybody says to you, don't stop. Keep fighting for what you want to fight for. Keep pushing through. Keep putting out content. Keep doing the things that you want to do. Who cares what people say to you? You know how many people have told me... we've said in joking almost with the fact of I run a podcast and I can always get the look sometimes, right? Unless you've heard my podcast or have sat down with me to be able to discuss what the podcast is about, or you've heard from a friend and you've listened to it or anything like that. 9 times out of 10, when you tell somebody I run a podcast out of my living room or out of my office at home, and it's about health and wellness and those kind of things, they probably have said, oh, there's like 1,000 of those. Okay, yep, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. You run a podcast. Awesome. Good job, whatever. But then when I sit down and I really dive into what I'm trying to accomplish with the podcast, and I can show my passion and my energy and what I'm really trying to be able to accomplish, and how one day I would love to make it a living and all of those things. And this is something that I would love to do because I'm making positive impacts on other people, including myself. What better formula could you have to be able to do these kind of things and enjoy what you do, love what you do, and be able to put out whatever it is? Don't they always say that if you do what you love to do, you never think of it as work? I mean, that's really the concept. That's our goals and our aspirations of what we want to try to accomplish. So this is where I'm at with everything. I go to this networking event. I'm listening to all these folks that have been through tough times, been through the patience side of it, and being able to fight through the mental anguish that you put yourself through. So it's almost just like when you try to go to a gym for the first time. You go to the gym, you walk in there, you might have a couple sessions that are good, but then the mental monkeys start to kick in, right? Then the mental monkeys start to go, it's really cold outside, I don't want to go to the gym. Or it's hard to do, my legs are hurting, I don't want to go to the gym. Or, it's really crowded, I don't really want to be around all those people, I'm not in shape right now, I don't want to be embarrassed in front of all these people, I don't want to go to the gym. All these things that we do when we mentally tell ourselves, you don't want to do something when you really know that it'd be really good for you to go do it. It's the same exact thing when it comes to this networking event that I was on. People said, I doubted myself. I doubted all the time. Every time I go out there and put something out, first of all, if you're a perfectionist, you want to think, is my content good? Does it sound good? Do I have a voice for it? Do I have a personality for it? I feel like I do. I'm really passionate about it, but this is where I'm at with it. So you start to doubt yourself. And then you put the content out there, and then you wait. And you wait for people to listen or people to give you feedback. And then you're like, nobody's talking, nobody's listening, nobody's doing anything. So, maybe it really sucks and maybe it's not really good. And then you start to doubt yourself that way. You start to say, was my content good? Was it horrible? Did all these things that we go through at this networking event that I was listening to, people that have passion, that have goals and aspirations of what they want to accomplish, but they go through the mental anguish of getting there, and they have to overcome the mental monkeys that we give ourselves. We are our own worst critic. We talk about it all the time. And we literally critique ourselves to no end because we doubt ourselves. Say we don't believe in ourselves to accomplish the things that we're doing, but we believe that there's a bigger purpose of what we're trying to be able to accomplish. So if it's health related, we know there's a big picture. We know we got our whys, we got our reasons for doing it. But why does our mind get in the way of us accomplishing those kind of things? And then we doubt ourselves. These are the kind of things that I think about, especially at this networking event. And I learned how inspired I was by all these folks that were just there to be able to talk about their journey and what they're trying to accomplish and how they believe in something that they're really trying to do. I was so inspired when I walked out of there. I think you would have been too. So the story tonight of the person that inspires me to piggyback on this little series that I'm doing here again is I wanted to talk a little bit about a name brand that you guys know very much about. Now, this is a business type of inspiration for me, but this is somebody that went over, started something, and began something that overcame obstacles to be able to get to where they are today. Now, remember what I said about the podcasting thing, overcoming the mental fortitude of doubt, of people around you doubting you, yourself doubting you, the industry doubting you, the competition doubting you, all those things is the same concept of what this person did. So I'm going to read what I have here, okay? So the person that inspired me in this episode here is Sir James Dyson. Now, if you don't know who that is, think of the Dyson vacuum cleaner, okay? This vacuum cleaner is known around the world as a vacuum that doesn't lose suction, as you heard by the taglines and all the commercials and the unique commercials and his British voice and his accent that he has in the background whenever he does his commercials when he talks about it. But he had the idea a long, long time ago. He had an idea back when he was in his early 30s when he became frustrated with his Hoover vacuum and his loss of suction that he always got from it. So at the time, or the disposable bag was the thing that everybody did. Everybody loved the disposable bags. The markets for the vacuums was all kinds of stuff, and people were selling them door to door with an overall value of about $100 million per year. So his idea was to come up with the cyclonic separation to create the world's first bagless vacuum cleaner. So it took him, now I want you to hear this now, it took him 5,126 failures to finally come up with the proper vacuum cleaner. Now 5,126 failures, what that equates to in my brain when I'm thinking business-wise is that's a lot of money spent on a lot of research, a lot of materials, a lot of content to be able to continue to work on the craft of something that he believed in, that he knew he could perfect and he could make it better. And that's all his real concept was at the time. So when he started in his early 30s, he worked on this 5,126 times failing and then finally got it right. And when he did at the age of 36, he actually went to market with it and he faced more resistance with no distributor in the United Kingdom that they would take on this product that he made. No one wanted to buck the trend of the bag vacuum cleaner that was everybody did. The Hoovers, Kirby's, all that stuff. So then Dyson went to the Japanese market in 1983 with a hot pink version of his vacuum cleaner. And then all of a sudden it started to take off. It won an industrial award in Japan in 1986, 3 years after the first introduction, after the 5,126 failures that he had. He was awarded his first U.S. patent for it. But still, manufacturers still didn't want to take it and take it on all these other big competitors and people that were out there making bagged vacuum cleaners. So Dyson then said, that's it, I'm forming my own company. In 1993, at the age of 46, he marketed the product and brought it to the masses that were there. Now, he started this company because he believed in what he was doing, but he knew that he wasn't going to get anywhere by going through all the doubters, all the people that said, nope, I can't overcome that. There's no way you can overcome the market that's out there. You can't overcome the competition that's out there. You can't do it. So in 93, at the age of 46, 16 years or so later, after going through failures, going through ups and downs, all those 5,126 times that the product failed, he finally went to product and launch with his own company to market his product. And now Dyson is worth more than $3 billion, all because he had the refusal to give up on his dream. He struggled through times of failure, sorrow, and regret, but he persevered and now is a huge smash success. So I want you to think about this. Again, like we did with all of the other people that we talked about, Tyler Perry, J.K. Rowling, all these folks, when they're told no and when they hit the rock bottoms and they continue to fight for the dreams that they keep on fighting for, the things that they believe in, and they're told no and they're faced with adversity and all those things. If you had something that you were working on that failed 5,126 times and no manufacturer wanted to be able to take on your product because you were going against the giants of the world in the vacuum cleaner business, do you think you would have persevered like he did? I probably wouldn't. Again, 5,126 times to be able to continue to fight for what you believe in and what you think could be a better product to be able to put out there. I own a Dyson vacuum cleaner and it's amazing. Trust me, I think it's incredible. So I know that this story that this guy believed in, the thing that he wanted to be able to bring to the market was better. And he wanted to make sure that he brought that to everybody else to continue to push that forward. And now he's a multi-billionaire based around the fact that he has a vacuum cleaner that he believed in and he did not let somebody tell him no. Now, again, the concept of the podcasting community that I was just talking about, same thing. You keep fighting. You keep on doing the things that you have to do. You keep on going for your dreams, going for your aspirations, and not stopping. And don't let people tell you no. Dyson, same thing. He didn't let people crush his dreams. He just continued to fight. And that's what every one of us have to do. We have to continue to fight. Now, whether it's a minuscule thing you're trying to fight for, something small, maybe it's like you want to become a painter and you want to start off on painting and people will tell you, you're not a painter. Come on, you don't have an artistic bone in your body. But that's your dream. That's your aspiration. Screw them. Go for it. Buy yourself an easel, get yourself the paints and go for it. Who are they to tell you that you can't do something that you want to be able to accomplish, right? You can accomplish whatever it is that you want to set your mind to. So don't let the naysayers stop you from accomplishing and achieving greatness, because every single one of us have greatness in us. All of us. Every one of us. We just have to find it. We got to go and dig in. Whatever it is that you're trying to be able to accomplish, if you're trying to get healthy, then go for great. Don't just settle for mediocrity. Don't settle for being mediocre. Go to be great. Strive to be excellent. Continue to polish up your game. Do the things you need to do. Practice what you preach. You know how to do the things that you need to do. Now you just need to dig deep and become great at what you do. And don't accept no for an answer, even if it's coming from your own brain and in your own voice that goes on in your head. Because we all have those voices, every one of us. And I know I do. The doubter may not be coming from other external factors. It may be coming from when you look in the mirror and you say, what the hell am I doing? What the hell am I doing on a podcast? I'm hopping on this microphone and talk to people and want to think that this is going to be a career someday? Probably not. That's the doubter. The doubter in me is saying you can't accomplish something. But the believer in me, the one that knows that I can achieve amazing things and keep on fighting for the good cause and keep on fighting for greatness, tells me I can accomplish whatever it is that I try to. I just need to put my foot forward and keep fighting. And keep on moving and not stopping. And so should you. Whatever it is you want to accomplish, just put your foot forward and go for it. Because the only person that can stop you is you. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973 podcast. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms at Liquidshano 1973. And if you could do us a favor, pop on over to iTunes and show us some love and leave some feedback there for us. Talk later.